and all they talk about is the ingredients that goes into it. They don't. And when I
Don't
read
talk
this
about the
article,
unintended ingredients.
yeah, exactly. And
Hey, carnivore hunters, this is Doug.
this is Rick. So today we want to talk to you guys about you've been hearing a lot lately about how these ultra processed foods are bad for you, and what's bad about the highly processed foods is the uh, ingredients, or what they're putting into our foods. And I ran across an article today um, that I had never really thought about. So this is the article I saw, and there's a recall for these taquitos because there there's there was metal contamination in it. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, we have our highly processed foods with horrible ingredients in it, and Doug and I recently made a video about that. Um, but this article really got me to thinking because it says here the United States Department of Agriculture announced the recall after it received consumer complaints about metal wire being embedded in the chicken nuggets and tenders. And up here, I thought this was a little funny. Uh, this ALDI put the safety and integrity of the products it sells first. To me, that's laughable because if you put your safety first, uh, you wouldn't have a recall to begin with. And so Doug has no idea what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
When I pitched this idea to him, he's like, "What the heck are you talking about?" And I said, "That's what I want to get you to think about and get our viewers to think about is what caused this." So this is a highly processed food. It's mass produced. So, Doug, my first question for you is how do they mass produce this food?
Well, my guess is that it goes through machinery. The vast majority of it's probably automated, and I'm sure what happened there, one of the machines broke in a way that they didn't catch right away, and some of those parts ended up in the food.
Right. So let me bring up another point here, Doug. So, Doug and I, since high school, have chosen completely different career paths. Doug does, well, I don't know if you want to talk about what you do, Doug. Doug does
Yep.
something completely from what I do, or part of my degree is in electrical engineering technology. And I also have a business degree. And so from the time I was in the Navy until now, I've been basically in maintenance, equipment maintenance. So, Doug, your answer is correct. It's probably mass produced, going through machinery. So something broke, like you said, something broke. What do you? How do you suppose they prevent that from happening?
My best guess would be there would be some sort of routine maintenance in theory, but
Mm.
just in, and I don't mind telling everybody I work mainly in sales and technology for pretty much all of my career. A lot of that being in the cruise industry over the years, but um, so I happen to know that no matter how well you take care of something, um, eventually when you're running a machine 24 hours a day or even 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, something's going to break, even with the best of maintenance. So that would be my guess, is that it's just, to a certain extent, some things are unavoidable, even with the best laid out maintenance plans.
Yep, you're exactly right, Doug. It's in manufacturing. You have when you have high volume manufacturing, it's running 24/7, 365 days a year. You have to have that routine maintenance, and so you have preventive maintenance. You have and preventive maintenance is just what it says. It's you take this piece of equipment down to oil it, replace parts, whatever you got to do. Oh, yeah, oil. It,
I I was actually going to say that this whole time I've been sitting here thinking, metal is just what we can find. Like that's just
mm-hmm.
in this case something was found. I'm wondering how often I've eaten a chicken nugget or something that has some kind of actual motor oil in it. you know?
Yeah. So you've got lubricants, you've got solvents probably for cleaning the equipment that may or may not be, well, it's a solvent. It's probably, no matter, they might say it's uh, edible for human consumption. It's probably not. Um, so, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that goes into maintaining this equipment that might not be healthy for you. The other thing, actually, let's back up to preventive maintenance. Suppose you have a lazy technician, right? So, what could have gone wrong with this equipment that got metal wire into the food? You either had a lazy technician who pencil whipped their preventive maintenance tasks, that their checklist of things they're supposed to do to get that equipment to like new conditions, or um, it, or it was skipped altogether. Something catastrophic happened to that equipment where you're getting parts of the machine, is what I'm guessing, parts of the machine into the food. The other kind of maintenance is corrective action, which is that equipment broke unscheduled for some reason. Um, and
But
then the
it could have just been
question,
a bad part that
yeah,
I mean, because we've all bought something from a good company at one point in our lives where it broke early and we had to get it replaced with the warranty or whatever, and then the one that you replaced, sometimes they break again because it's a bad part across the board. Most of the time, your replacement ends up working just fine because it was a one-off on a bad part. But that's a problem with manufacturing too, right? Is there is going to be a margin of error even with the tightest of tolerances.
how do you close that margin of error?
I have no idea.
If you have a part that has a high failure rate, you work that into your preventive maintenance.
Okay.
So you have say a motor or a blade or whatever it is that after 30, 60, 90 days, a year, whatever it is, after X amount of time, this part's going to fail. So you work that into your preventive maintenance schedule to replace that. Whether the part's good or not, you replace it, you throw the other one away or send it off for refurbishment or repair, whatever. And that's the idea behind preventive maintenance, is to minimize your downtime. So I'm geeking out on this, but I'm geeking out on it because, like we said, that you hear about your highly processed food all the time, and all they talk about is the ingredients that goes into it. They don't. And when I
Don't
read
talk
this
about the
article,
unintended ingredients.
yeah, exactly. And when you think about it, Doug, if you have a local butcher where your meat's coming from, you can see their equipment sitting there right in front of you. They could make the same mistake theoretically. If it's a small town butcher,
Yeah, but he's
he's
using his one machine consistently, and it's not. it's not one person loads the food, the ingredients, and then a completely separate person 40 feet away is taking it off the line. I,
Yeah, well,
I, I think would be so much easier for a butcher to catch their mistake, although it's still plausible.
it's
Absolutely.
plausible, but I think because he would be considered probably small business, he's going to want to take care of his equipment so it's not breaking down all the
Yeah.
time because he doesn't have that $1 billion budget to go fix his equipment, so he's going to do whatever he can to take care of it. Uh, anyways, I just wanted people to think about that. When you see articles like that, ask yourself those kinds of questions like, how in the heck did wire get into the food? It's bizarre to me. And when we're talking about the highly ultra processed stuff, it's not just the ingredients we're finding out.
Yeah.
So
But honestly, what scares me the most is not the wire, because this is obviously an extreme case. But the other unintended ingredients, the solvents or cleaners, the oils that are machinery oils, not even intended to be in the food. What else is dripping in there? Um, and if it's not a wire, if it's a little BB, it'll be, it's kind of like, remember when we were kids, they had that scare that I think it was an urban legend, as it turns out, but somebody was putting razor blades in the candied apples for Halloween, and it
yeah,
turned out to be bullshit. But I mean, but this is a real instance where that kind of stuff is plausible.
yeah. Well, you say BB, there you have bearings in
Yeah,
some of this equipment. If you have a bearing that blows and can somehow get mixed into the machinery, where the food is exposed, I mean, that's another bite into one of those and chip a tooth,
yeah.
you know?
Or God forbid, one of our grandkids gets a hold of it, chokes on it or
Yeah.
something.
Well,
So
and you hear the stories where people find fingers in their highly processed food. You've heard some of those stories too, right? Somebody
Yeah,
can't
I
find
kind
their,
of wrote those off as urban legends, but I don't know anymore. Maybe it's happening.
yeah, I don't know. Anyways, just something for everybody to think about when it comes to their highly processed food.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.